Assalamu alaikum. Today I have another beautiful story for you, but it's going to cost you. If you want to listen to this story, number one, please share this video with at least one other person and ask them to subscribe to my channel. Number two, please make dua for me. And number three, please make dua for anyone else watching this video, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers the du'as that they are making in their own personal lives, that He fulfills their dreams, and that He removes any hardships and obstacles and difficulties that they are facing in their life at this moment. Make dua for them. In 2012, I was extradited to the United States from the United Kingdom, and I was placed into a supermax prison. A supermax prison is the highest level of security prison in the United States. It's complete isolation, complete solitary confinement, and I was next to a death row. And solitary confinement means you don't get to mix with any other prisoner. If you want to talk to other prisoners, you have to shout through the windows or the doors or the vents or the sink, but you don't get to mix or have association or shake hands even with any other prisoner. So 2 years I spent in complete isolation in that prison, which was on the east coast of the United States. And one of the things that I struggled with was with the loneliness. And that was one of the hardest things. You find things to do. I would read a lot and I would pray and I would exercise in my cell, but you're all doing it by yourself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't create human beings like that. He created us to interact with people or to want something. So one particular day, I think it was a Sunday morning, I was in my cell and I was just feeling lonely. The prison was in this natural bird sanctuary, and from my cell there was a small slit window which is 3 inches wide by 36 inches tall, and from that you could see outside. So depending on which cell you were in, you would either see a concrete wall or you could see birds, and you could see the prison perimeter fence, and there were lots of birds there. So often I would just sit there and for hours and hours and hours I would just watch the birds, what they're doing, what the different types of birds and the families of birds. I would just sit there and I would just watch them. So one day I was just looking out of my window and I was just feeling alone, and I felt like I wanted to talk to someone. All of a sudden this tiny bird, it came and it perched itself on the tiny, maybe it's 2-3 millimeters. I never thought a bird could perch on that, on the outside of the window. So I'm looking inside the window and it's like a thick pane glass, and on the outside of the window this bird has come and it's perched itself there. And then that bird, it made eye contact with me. It looked into my eyes. And when it looked into my eyes, it was as if it was saying to me, I know what you're going through and you're not alone. And at that moment, looking at that bird, it gave me hope that maybe one day I will be where that bird is now. And look where I am now. You're listening to me tell you about this story. Stop for a moment. What are you feeling in your heart right now as you've heard this? What is the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to communicate to you from this story that I just told you? Make dua to Allah to change. Make that change now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month. Make that change now. What is the lesson from this story? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is there to help us. All of creation exists to help us, to help the believers and worshippers of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala constantly sends us help and signs and reassurance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is constantly sending us help in our day-to-day lives. We just need to notice it. Sometimes it could be from another Muslim. Sometimes it could be from another person who is not even Muslim. And sometimes it could be from someone or something that's not even human, like an animal, and Allah will send you comfort and reassurance by means of that, because they are all His creation. Often help comes to us from unexpected quarters. That is why you should never look down upon another person. Never look down upon another person except if it is to bring them back up or to bring them up. Especially Muslims. Don't look down upon Muslims that may not be as devout as you, or may not outwardly appear as devout as you, because maybe their heart is closer to Allah than you, and you don't know. And I saw that many times. In my 11 years in prison. I found comfort and I found strength from guys that were Muslim, but these are like drug dealers, or these are armed robbers, or these are like common criminals. And yet I found comfort and reassurance from these people who outwardly did not appear to be practicing Muslims, but they supported me when I was in prison. And the person who was against me, a guy who had a long beard and a prayer hat, who was an imam, who knew Arabic, who used to teach Arabic and Islamic studies, who used to lead people in Taraweeh prayers in his local masjid. And this person gave false testimony against me and against hundreds of other people. Alhamdulillah, I came out, but it took 11 years. But there are other people that are still in prison now as a result of false testimony that he gave about them. Outward appearances is one thing. You don't know what is the state of that person's heart. Imam Ahmed bin Hanbal was one of the greatest scholars, one of the 4 Imams of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And he was put in prison for a while by the Muslim Caliph at his time, because he was saying that the Quran is not a creation of Allah, it is the speech of Allah. And there was some dispute among scholars, or there was some dispute there, and as a result the Caliph, he imprisoned Imam Ahmed and ordered him to be lashed. When Imam Ahmed went into prison and he's there in the cell and he's about to be lashed in public the next day, one of his fellow cellmates was a Muslim man who was an alcoholic, and he'd been lashed many times for drinking alcohol. And he said to Imam Ahmed, he said, I was lashed for drinking alcohol and I was firm and patient. You are being lashed for something far greater. So if I could do it for something like that, then you could do it. You can handle it for something bigger than I can. And Imam Ahmed said to him, he said, it's not the imprisonment that bothers me. He said, it's just the pain of being lashed. And the prisoner, he said to him that, don't worry about that. He said, it's just the first 2 or 3 lashes that hurt, then after that it stops hurting. And that one conversation gave Imam Ahmed so much hope, and it gave him so much strength to get through what he did. And he just said that for many years afterwards, after he came out of prison, Imam Ahmed would make dua for that prisoner. He would make dua for him. You just don't know where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or how He's going to send His help and comfort and reassurance to you. There's a Shaykh from Medina, his name is Shaykh Al-Mughamisi, and once I was listening to one of his lectures, and he was talking about where he had, I think he had a heart attack and he had major heart surgery, and while he was having just after the surgery, there was some sort of complication, and he was in a quite distressed, almost panicking state. I think he was struggling to breathe, or I'm not sure, something went wrong, and he was in quite a distressed state. And he said, I'm there in the hospital and there's doctors, nurses all around me, and I'm lying there. He said, then there was this nurse who appeared to be Muslim, but she didn't look like she was Muslim. She had makeup on, this young woman, she had makeup on, her hair was out, and she the way she was dressed, she didn't appear to be a Muslim, and she certainly didn't appear to be devout. He says, she noticed that I was distressed, and she just said to me, Salli ala Nabi, that send salam upon the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Keep reciting durood, keep reciting Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And she kept on saying that to me, and at that moment, me, And this is a very big, well-known scholar, and he's one of the scholars of I think Masjid Quba in Medina, one of the big mosques in Medina. He's their imam. He gives lectures, and lots of people attend his lectures. His lectures are televised. And yet, at that moment, he didn't know what to say. And it took this woman who outwardly did not look devout or practicing, it took her to remind him and to tell him what to say. And he said, as I began to say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, he said, I calmed down and I felt at peace again. So Allah is sending us help every single day. We just have to notice it. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, please subscribe to my channel, please press the notifications bell, and please share this video with at least one other person, because you don't know what struggles that person is going through in their life. Maybe they'll listen to this video and it will help them, and it will help to change their life. Until the next video, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.